ولو شئنا لآتينا كل نفس هداها ولكن حق القول مني لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing good. I'm Sundus. Today I'll be talking about schools. Yes, finally. And I'll talk about the types of schools and things like that. So in Egypt, you have two types of school. I'd say secular system, and you have the Azhar system, Islamic system. So in the secular system, you have public schools, you have private schools, and you have private language, and you have international schools. So public schools, they're usually free. You pay small fees towards the books, and they're in Arabic. Then you have private schools, and you pay a bit more for those, and usually they teach language like English, and it's a bit better. The education is a bit better than the public schools. I didn't have a good experience in public schools, actually. We were there for nearly a whole year, I'd say, whole academic year, and it was just catastrophe. You know, they were not very nice to the kids. They'll insult them, they'll beat them, sometimes twist children's arms. No rahma, no nothing. It was just a disaster. I would go there and, you know, complain and, you know, have arguments with the teachers and, you know, have to remind them, look what you're doing, you're teaching this and then you're doing that. It was just a nightmare. So it wasn't a good experience at all for us, especially for my boys. You know, boys here is like you have to be so tough. My girl was fine. She had a good time there. She was all right. But the boys, oh my God, constant fighting, this, that. And teasing, they hated the teasing, and so it was very difficult. So eventually I just had to take all of them out and put them into a private school. So yeah, so you have the private language schools, and you can have them either in Arabic, or they can teach English, some subject in English. Then you have international schools, and they're like the West. They teach the same curriculum. Actually, all the schools teach the standard curriculum. So you have English, maths, science, geography. They do geography, history, the whole thing, art, and all of that. And then the international schools, you have very good education there actually, but usually no dean. So, and they celebrate everything that you probably run away from. So the Mother's Day, Christmas, all of that they do. So if you're not into that, then it's just not going to be the good choice. But in terms of like study, dunya-wise, they do quite good actually. And they're very expensive schools as well. The international school, they can have two sections. They can have the Arabic sections, and they can have the purely English sections. And most of the time it's English though. But the good thing is they do teach the American and international baccalaureate, so they have a, you know, sound qualification with it that's recognized. But the standards are usually the Western standards. So, but there's no dean, like I said. So it's like a balance. And really, if you've left the West to come here, is it really the kind of school you want to put them in, you know, because you can get that for free anyways in the West, whereas here you have to pay a lot of money for it. And, you know, it's not Islamic. Then you have the Azhar system. And in this system, they mainly teach Quran and Islamic studies, Islamic values, and Quran. So, it's the same national standard curriculum, so you know all the subjects as we usually know, but you have Quran revision, you have Deen, you have Khat. Deen is like Islamic studies, handwriting, all these Islamic subjects are included in it. So it's good because, at least your child is studying the secular, subjects, but they also have the Islamic subjects in it, and they'll be told about Allah all day, so it's quite a nice environment, I would say. Also, in the Azhar system, you have public Azhar school, same thing as the secular system. You have public schools, so you have public Azhar schools, then you have private language Azhar schools, and both are the same. They study the same stuff, but I think from my experience, the private Azhar is way better than the public Azhar, because as I said previously, I had such a bad experience there, from them being hit, called hayawan, and God knows what, and having to go there and fight there. It was just a nightmare. So alhamdulillah, they're not there anymore. Now they're in a private language Azharian school, and they just love it. The benefit in being in a public Azhar school is that you pay relatively nothing, and you can just have all your teachers. So you have all your teachers at home, you go there, you don't pay much, and you still do what you want in a way, because I remember when I was there, I didn't really let them attend every single day. At one point, they were only going there 3 days a week because it was just too much problems. And it was still okay. So I can do what I want at home. I could carry on a bit of homeschooling and then get them there as well. In the private Azharian schools, they have great facilities. They have sports and they have swimming pools as well. And usually they hire them as well outside of school hours. And the good thing about them is that, like the English, maths and science, well, English is English, but English, maths, science is taught in English. So the rest of the subjects are taught in Arabic, but those 3 subjects are taught in English. And they are quite important subjects, so it's nice because they can understand it. And when exam comes, they're able to, to perform well in it. So it's quite nice. For instance, some of the private Azharian schools, they have different sections. So some have usually they have the Arabic sections, and then they have the language section. And some of them have a Montessori sections. Like Kamal, for instance, they have a Montessori section, and they have a semi-American section. So it's quite big and well separated as well. In Egypt, you find that some people put their kids in Azhar school, but their children won't attend the school. So they'll pay the fees and everything, but the children won't attend. But this has to be arranged with the school and agreed with the school. Personally, I think that's it's a lot of money, a bit wasted, because they still have to go there. You still have to pay, and they're not attending, and they still have to, do the exam. So they only do the exam basically. But that suits some people, because then they can just do as they wish. They can control everything that their children are studying, and they can carry on their homeschooling. And by the way, if you want to homeschool in Egypt, there is homeschooling circles. There is a network. A lot of sisters are homeschooling, and they're doing a great job, alhamdulillah. So if that's what you're interested in, inshallah, you can contact me and I can put you through those groups. And some people, though, are scared of putting their children in an Azhar school because of what they can be taught, what they think they can be taught. But alhamdulillah, mine has been there for 3 years, and they have not been taught anything strange or out of what we usually know. So it's kept quite simple, and they don't learn any subject like Aqidah. So they do a lot of Islamic studies, and they're doing great. But side note, obviously it's up to us to always check what they're doing, always ask them what they learned, and to check the books, because everything is crystal clear. It's there, the book is there, you can check, you can ask, and also teach the kids what they're upon and what's right and what's wrong, so not to have any worries. It's nice when your child comes, you can say hadith, they know Quran is being taught like maybe 3 sessions in the day or so. They usually start about 7:30 and they'll finish at 2:30. It's so heartwarming, you know. Then them coming and singing a song or whatever. They're coming home and they're reciting Quran out of the blue like that. It's beautiful, alhamdulillah. So there's a lot of benefit. The good thing about them being in school is that you don't have to renew your visa every 3 months. So that's the good thing. And they give it to you yearly. So when they enter, let's say September/October, you put your application in the school office, and they will do all the paperwork. Then you can get it. You can get your visa from that time until the end of the year, which is usually April. So then you have peace of mind. So that was a great benefit for me, because once I knew that I wanted to stay here longer and I didn't want to have to renew my visa every 3 months, that was the only option that I had. Now, how do you enter an Azhar school? I'll mainly concentrate on Azhar school because that's what people are mostly interested in. So before, you could easily get your embassy. That was a procedure. You get your embassy to write a letter, basically of agreement, that your kids can study here. Then you take this to the Egyptian authorities, and then things will be done that way, and it'll be quick and easy. But that's more or less not really being done anymore. It's not being done. A lot of embassies don't do this anymore. So I was like, okay, how are they going to go into school then? It was a bit tricky. Alhamdulillah, eventually, what I did is I put them in just a standard private school, a secular private school, and paid part of the fees, because I knew I didn't want to stay there. Paid part of the fees, so they registered them, paid part of the fees. They told me everything, what to do. Took the paper, the receipt and the little paper that they gave me, took that to the Ministry of Education of that area. So some do it, some don't do that. But that school, I had to go to the Ministry of Education for it to be stamped. And then after that, they told me once I did all of that, I have to take those papers to the police station. And back then I was living in Nasser City, so I took it to the big police station in Nasser City. I mean, the system is quite the same. It's same as the visa procedures. And I've done a video on that, so inshallah you can always check that out, inshallah. They asked me for the usual pictures, where you live, proof of your tenancy agreement, your passport, papers of yourself and the child that you want to put in. And by the way, if you don't have to put all your children in, you can just use one child, and everybody gets the visa like that. So if you want to just take one child into school, then you apply for a visa for all of you. So that's what I did. But I put all my children, my 3 kids, in it. So then I had a 2-month student visa. With that 2-month student visa, I went straight away to the Azhar office and made an application there. So the same thing, you need your pictures of the children, yourself, your passports information, all your personal details, where you live, and the detail of the school. But once I went into Azhar, I didn't give them the detail of that school because I didn't want to go in there. So they will talk to you through everything. And then, and then I filled in all of that. I told them the school that I wanted to go into. They gave me all my documents, finished a dossier. I took that dossier to the school that I wanted, and there I filled in a few little papers, and that was it really. The kids started. It was a bit long because I was new, I didn't know certain things. Sometimes I was missing stuff, sometimes it was closed, little things like that. So it took me maybe a month or 2. Most foreigners put their kids in private Azharian schools because you get a better education, and it's nicer there for foreigners, I guess. So the most popular ones are the ones in New Cairo. That's Tajan, and one is in Rehab, like Tajan. Kamal and Qad Mushrik and Bukhari. Bukhari is known to be the best out of them all, but otherwise the curriculum is the same. You study the same thing, you do the same thing. The only difference, I guess, it might be the quality of teaching and maybe the training of the teachers. Otherwise, you're paying for really the same thing. It's best to actually contact the schools and get the latest price list, because it changes. But for instance, this year, the cheapest one in my area is 21,000 Egyptian. The schools offer transportation, and that's about £9,000. But again, you get to know the latest price for the year you will be entering. I think if you're on a tight budget, it might be wiser to live next to the school that you want them to go into, and that way you save a lot of money. You can get the school's details on Facebook. They do use Facebook, or you can Google them and you find their details in there. There is a service that's recently been offered. There's a sister, her husband can speak English and French. He can translate Arabic into English and French. So if you want somebody to come along with you and explain to you the Azhar procedure to do an application, so inshallah they can do that. I'm not sure how much they charge, but if you are interested, you can send me a message and I can share their details. Inshallah, hope this was helpful. And if you want to know anything else, then inshallah send me a message. And until we meet again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.